We have made to the Grand Canyon, the grandest canyon of them all. And now we definitely know that because this entire trail has been through canyons, and looking at this, it really, all those other ones really feel like very, 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 very small by comparison. Grand Canyon National Park. We're dropping in, I think in the next 9 miles, we descend 6,000 feet. So we are on the Nankoweep Trail heading down, and they say it's the hardest trail in the Grand Canyon that actually has a name. You know, if you want to get harder than this, then it's a route, an unnamed, unmaintained, whatever. But yeah, super excited. It's been a while since I've been here. Me and Sprocket came here in 2022. We went to both the South and the North Rim. And now we get to do that a whole bunch of times because we're gonna cross the Grand Canyon like 2.5 times, 3 times. I don't know, but very exciting, super exciting. So also super cool, way off in the distance, you can see the high point of Arizona. So that's Mount Humphreys and the San Francisco peaks with a little bit of snow on them. I think Mount Humphrey is 11,000 something feet. But yeah, amazing to see it so far away, because we are quite far away. Wow.
Not even on the tree.
So we have finally entered Grand Canyon National Park, the 5th national park of 6 which we need to traverse on this 800-mile through hike of the Hayduke Trail. And from what we understand, this will be the most difficult part of our entire hike. Many people have ended their trip here due to the high heat and the difficulty of travel. Many people skip large sections here. It is the crux of this route, the make or break moment of seeing this trail to completion. We are entering the park on the Nankoweep Trail in a very remote corner on the east side of the canyon, dropping down from the North Rim all the way to the bottom and the Colorado River. So I believe I like contouring the edge, then heading out to that pointy thing and around the other side. We hear that this is the hardest trail within the park, but I think you could probably say that about a handful of the less popular ones. Another that comes to mind is the North Bass Trail, but still, this is definitely an area not many go, and definitely a trail that is not often used. A truly wonderful surprise is that we have run into another Hayduke hiker here. In 550 miles or so, we've only run into 4 others who are doing the same hike that we are. A great contrast to many other long distance through hikes in the United States. So it really is special to get to hike with someone for any period of time out here. Hillary is from New Zealand and actually hiked the Arizona Trail before coming out to do the Hayduke, which is a ridiculous thing to have done in the same season and certifies her as a truly epic thru hiker. We had run into her once, many hundreds of miles ago in Canyonlands National Park, but haven't seen her since. So this isn't our first time meeting, but it's funny how you can be following someone's footprints so closely for nearly a month and almost never actually run into them. It's extra nice in this case to run into her, as I think this section in particular is much more fun when shared with others. So all 3 of us headed down the Nankoweep, dropping thousands of feet in elevation in just a few miles. Temperatures got hotter and hotter as we went down, not just from the rising sun, but also from the loss in elevation. It's a pretty terrible treat to get to the bottom, back to stable ground, only to then feel like you're in a microwave cranked up to 115 degrees, absolutely frying your brain and your skin.
backpack was cool. There were like a bunch of things I didn't want to get so bad. I just like
So we were just over there. We've kind of been following, like contouring around a rock layer this whole way. And at least so far, this trail is not difficult in that there's so much descent, though I think that will come. This trail is difficult because for like miles and miles and miles, we are just standing so incredibly close to a, I don't know, 4,000 foot drop. And the trail's like slanted, and it's not like nice, it's just like little loose rocks. So there's not much space to step. You don't feel comfortable with your steps. And this whole time you're just looking down thousands of feet. So we're going slow. This is definitely not the place you'd want to trip and fall. You know, I definitely feel that like primal instinct of be careful, self-preservation. But nothing super physical yet, though I think that'll come. It's just very nervous walking. So here's maybe a good perspective of the cliff. We're like up here, you know, and that is, it's a long way straight down. So yeah. So first view of the Colorado. Kind of amazing. Hiked so far and just now seeing it. Still got a very long way to go. Huh. So we were way up there, very, very far. Fortunately, the Nankoweep Creek was running, and there were some cottonwoods for shade. Still, my idea of fun isn't sitting still in the shade for more than 3 hours because temperatures are so hot I can hardly think. That's 3 hours of barely moving a muscle because I feel like I can't even move. Once we get going again, we are headed towards the Colorado River. And this is an interesting case of something that I think is unique to the Hayduke Trail. We will have to hitch a ride from some rafters across the river to the other side, where we'll pick up a different trail. I've hitchhiked a lot in my life, but never before across a river from some rafters. Once I hitchhiked on a motorboat across a river, but that was on the Florida Trail. Some rafters is a different story. Some rafters on a Colorado River expedition is a different story. Their boats are packed with provisions, they may not have extra life jackets, they are on very strict permits, and they have to ferry us across under their own power. It's not an easy thing, and I think many are very weary of assisting unless the timing is perfect. Some fun things we've learned about the rafters on the Colorado River that I think is interesting or helpful for future Hayduke hikers. Each group does about 20 miles per day on the river, so you will likely be going at a similar pace to them, and you will likely run into the same people more than once. Only a couple groups pass per day, so if you've already seen a handful pass you, that might be it. If you're trying to catch a ride across, mid-morning is the best time, or maybe catching them for lunch. Remember that they too also need to find a place to camp, and given the time it takes them to set up their elaborate camps and tear them down, the wee morning hours and the late evening hours aren't really rowing hours. Most rafters will be on the water from about 10 a.m. until about 3 p.m. to get their 20 miles in. They've likely never given a hiker a ride across a river before, and may be weary of doing so. Though hikers very frequently on their past trips want their food. It is super common for hikers to try and get food from them. So be friendly and maybe they will share. So we made it down into the Grand Canyon. The Nankoweep, it's difficult. It's not as technical as the majority of the things you're going to do on this trail, but it's just like having to be careful, very careful for, I don't know, many hours, 3, 4, 5 hours, definitely 5 hours. That I think kind of just wears you down a bit. So we get to the bottom of the Nankoweep. There's a beautiful little creek, Nankoweep Creek. We sit under some trees for like 5 hours. Because here's the worst part about coming down into the canyon, and the worst part about maybe the Nankoweep as well, is that once you get down here, it's 100 plus degrees. So at the top, I think the high would have been like 70 degrees today, whereas at the bottom, it is going to be 100 plus. So our next big phase, our next big step, is we need to cross the Colorado River. You cannot swim it. It's 50 degrees. It is very, very cold. It is much faster flowing than you think. It would be a very stupid decision to swim it. So what do we have to do? We have to find some rafters. Rafters, I'd say every day. Certainly quite a few come down the river, I guess mid-April to all of May, and then also maybe like September. It's another big time.
Look at that stash. Pancakes. Incredible. I'll take a pancake.
I don't know if I want a pancake.
Should we just stay on the beach?
Today, we need to hail down some rafters, and hopefully they will give us a ride across the river. We've known that this was our fate, that this is what we had to do. So yesterday, we ran into some rafters camping on the beach. I guess they told us a lot of interesting information. First of all, they were a private trip. A commercial trip down the Colorado River can cost $6,000 to $20,000, depending on like how nice of a commercial trip you want. They are allowed to ferry us across, but they are not allowed to take us down the river. We are not on their permits. They would be just banned from the canyon if they were caught doing something like that, carrying a hiker down the river. That's what they say. So you're probably going to get to the Colorado River like we have. You're probably going to run into some rafters immediately. I would see if they have some extra food, maybe, you know. Be really friendly, be really kind, you know. And I would move on to the crossing point, because the vast majority of people are not gonna let you join their rafting trip. So anyway, these rafters, they said one of them's been applying for this permit to raft down the Grand Canyon for 15 years. Another one of them has been applying every year for about 30 years. So this is serious stuff. So I think if you want to pay all that money to go on a commercial trip, then I think it's way easier. You're probably going to get to go this year. But if you're a private trip that wants to do it with your whole family in your own rafts, if you're just diehard rafters, it's kind of crazy that you could be waiting 30 years to do this river. So yeah, they're going to take the rules quite seriously. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. So we got up at like 5:45 today because it's probably going to be like 100 degrees by noon. So we're just trying to get to the point down the river where we need to cross the river, hopefully before all the rafters for the day pass us. From what we understand, you want to be at that crossing at mid-morning, like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock. And if you miss those rafters for the day, you could just be sitting on that beach for a day, and you may not have the food for that, which we do not. So hopefully things work out for us and we get that ride very soon. Their river trips can last upwards of 16 days, and some of the motorboats take as little as 6 days to do the entire Colorado River. The record for the fastest time to ever row the entire river is something like 34 hours to do the 277 miles. There's a great book about that for anyone interested that I would highly recommend, which is called The Emerald Mile. So a massive thank you to Ken, Bill, Buddy, and the whole crew who gave us a ride across the river. It is incredibly appreciated, and I hope your trip was as good as ours. If I have any parting words about the rafters, it is that the private groups are super cool. Make friends with both the private and the commercial. But of all the rafters we met, this was our experience. The private groups are where it's at. So now that we're on the other side at the confluence of the Little Colorado, we will hike west again, following the river on its high cliffs to soon hike up to the South Rim. Our Grand Canyon adventure is just beginning, as we will be within the park for well over 200 miles of this trip.